Hello and welcome to my brand new series on this channel. This series called Campfire Stories. It could be a scary stories or a funny story or anything. Anything could be stories. Today I'm gonna do a scary stories for this episode 1. This scary story that I found on Reddit. So, story number 1. This story is by Samurai Dodge 123. This is pretty new stories that I found it. The title is I'll Never Forget That Day. A few days ago, and around 10 or something, I ran to the storage after moving. When I left, I saw my dog away across the grass. When I told him to come here out loud, he didn't come. When I walked over, right when I was about to step on the grass, my dog pooped right out and growling at me. I said, "Buddy, what's wrong?" Then I remember my dog was over the grass, but he ran away suddenly. I knew he wasn't my dog, but something that looked like my dog. I didn't know at the time I could die, but I yelled at the dog that looked like mine, told him to go home. It worked. Then its leg and eyes started twitching. That's when I ran. I didn't look back, but when I stopped and looked, I saw a skinny red glowing eye creature looking at me. I ran away in fears. When I got in my car, I hid at the back seat. When I looked through the window, I saw it looking for me. A distorted face, long neck. It didn't have ears. I could tell its sense of smell was its key. When it got away, I saw my normal dog got him in the car and drove off. When I drove for 20 seconds at least, I saw the creature wandering back into the woods with a death stare at me. That's the end of the first of this story. So, to the next story. Alright, this is pretty short one. This story is by Conservative The End. The title is The Doll That Moved. My grandma owned this doll when I was younger, and the whole aesthetics of the house fits that abandoned house vibe. It was around 1 a.m. or so when I heard a large crash in the kitchen. I got up and went down to go see what that noise was. Scared of my mind, I turned that corner to see stuff everywhere. The cabinet was open and plates everywhere. I ran to the doorcase and it was open, thinking, where did it go? I turned around to see it sitting on a couch, head tilted toward the TV. Needless to say, I never went back until my grandma got a new house. That is the end of the second story. That was pretty good and pretty short. The third story is Two-Way Underpass by Dan System 1022. Ever since I could remember, I've always been afraid to walk through that underpass. To some people, it may seem like an ordinary underpass that could be used to cut across the street. But to me, it's much more than that. To me, that solid and smooth grey brick passage covered in street graffiti that dates back to the Beat Boy era was a gateway to another dimension. And what I saw last night proved that. This tunnel has been the subject of my nightmares for the past 25 years. But last night, I finally built up enough courage to walk through it. As I moved closer to the entrance of the tunnel, I activated the light on my phone to have better illuminated, and that's when I saw him. You can only see his crimson red teeth and the outlining of his pitch black body. I could tell from the distance that I was standing that he was about 6 feet tall, 205 lb, and pure evil, fear, anxiety, and despair all came rushing into me, freezing me in my tracks. Scared to do anything, I simply closed my eyes, and when I opened them, he was standing right in front of me. He didn't have any eyes, ears, or a nose, only crimson red teeth that I could clearly see because he was smiling. And then before I could utter a single word, he was gone. Alright, that is for the third story. This is our last story for this episode. So, the story is The Man in the Hallway by Panda Slaps. I remember quite clearly. I was 13 and we lived in a house where the hallway was directly facing my bed. It was almost pitch black and I heard a noise come from the hallway. It was summer, but the house felt cold. When I saw what looked like a man about 6 feet tall wearing overalls, the cold was emanating from him. His whole body was a shadow. I could see the room behind him through his body. His eyes glow red, as deep red as a ruby, and I got this feeling from him that said, "Don't move." I was shaken to my core and so scared that I froze as I watched. He couldn't take his eyes off me, nor I off him. But he started to walk to my brother's room. He passed through the door like he wasn't there and still stared at me as he went into the room. After the last bit of him went from sight, I heard a scream that made my blood run cold. It was my brother's screams. I rushed into the room to find him pressed with his back against the wall, but no one was there. It felt as if the room was in a winter storm. Then the room went back to the temperature that the house was, and I never saw the man again. Still, to this day, I fear his presence. 14 years later, halfway across the country, he still watches me. Alright, that is for my scary story for today, for this episode. I'm sorry that I couldn't read that well. Right now I'm just practice my reading, and yeah, it's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy the stories even though it's so short. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will make this series more in the future. So see you next time.